Family Gamers podcast. This is episode 385.
Hello, everybody. We are super excited to be here. We are the Family Gamers. As always, I am your host, Andrew, and I am joined by my lovely and wonderful wife, Anitra.
That's me.
And we are super excited to be here because last week we talked about the board game holiday gift list. This week we're talking about the video game holiday gift list. But if you've been a listener to the show, you know that we farm out these opinions. And we have none other than video game hype man himself, Stephen Duetzmann. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. I am an unmitigated hype machine.
Unmitigated hype machine. I'm getting it. I'm closer every year, I think. Stephen, what do you do and why would we call on you for this unmitigated honor? I'll call it.
I do a lot of things, but the relevant thing that I do right now is that I'm the founder of Engage Family Gaming, which is basically y'all, but for the video game side.
Yeah, you're my doppelganger, or I'm your doppelganger. I'm not sure which one.
It depends. I mean, it really depends on what you like more. That determines who is the evil twin. Because if you're the board game guy, then I'm the one that ruins everything by trying to get kids to play video games and vice versa. So
you have a bigger beard.
I do have a bigger beard. That might make me the evil twin. I'll go with it. I mean, we're on your home turf. I'm the away team.
Right. Anitra, I don't know if you remember this. I get reminded of this every year. Did you know that we got married on the exact same day as Stephen Duetzmann and his wife?
I had forgotten until you say it now. I think we talked about this last year on the podcast.
Yeah, we probably did.
Yeah.
Probably did. So there's a lot of reasons why people confuse me and Stephen. We're also both awesome, and we have amazing wives. You know, all those things. So anyway, so we're going to be talking about some video games this week on the show. A little bit different, but I think it'll be fun. We're going to start this one off, episode 385, with a fact. I went with a dumb fact this week. Sometimes they're a little bit more interesting. Last week was math. This week, the largest gathering of people dressed as elephants was 385 people.
Okay.
In the UK in 2016.
Sounds like something the UK would do.
Sure.
Courtesy
Leave
of
it to the Brits.
Book of World Records. Yeah. So anyway, that's the fact. There's nothing hidden in it.
Okay, man.
That's it.
I dig it, though. I dig it. I'd play that board game.
Yeah, right. No, like
people dressed as elephants. The board game.
Polyphant. I don't know. I don't know what you would call it.
Y'all joke, but someone has prototyped that game.
Probably.
Like, if we're going to PAX Unplugged in a couple of weeks, someone is going to have a prototype of a game with people in elephant suits somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know I'm right.
Yes.
You know I'm right. Because we've seen some things as people who deal with covering the board game industry.
That is true.
Over the last 10 years.
All right, so we're going to throw it over to Anitra.
We do need to include a message from our sponsor. So with the holidays coming up, this is a time of year that a lot of people get themselves into financial trouble that they need to dig out of with the start of the next year or the hope of a year-end bonus. Here are some gift-giving strategies to keep from reaching a Griswold level of stress this year. First, a lot of families transition at some point away from giving gifts to everyone to somehow reducing the number of gifts that everyone is responsible for bringing or the value of the gifts that they bring. One idea is to draw names this year for Secret Santa gifts next year. Then each person will receive one big gift from someone else in the family. Another idea is to stop giving gifts to the adults in the extended family and focus solely on gifts for children. Yet another is to do a white elephant gift exchange or an ornament gift exchange. Or why not a holiday treat exchange? I like that idea. Many families will combine a few of these ideas, like having the adults do a Secret Santa while the kids receive one large gift from someone and small stocking stuffers from the rest of the family. The most important part is to talk with your family and, if necessary, set up healthy boundaries so you can create and maintain a holiday budget. If you want to talk through other ideas to take some of the stress out of the holidays, set up a time to talk to First Move Financial by going to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers today.
Thanks so much to the team at First Move Financial for sponsoring another gift-giving guide episode of the Family Gamers podcast. Okay, so we're going to talk one game a piece that we're going to cheat about, but that's fine. We're only going to go in depth on one game a piece. How's that?
Yes.
Stephen, what have you been playing lately?
So I'm going to not do what I have been doing on my own show, which is basically just talk about World of Warcraft. But the game that I want to talk about with you guys, and this is some wild stuff. I have been playing a game that was sent to me called Empire of the Ants.
Okay.
Now, I'll make this relatively quick, but Empire of the Ants is a real-time strategy game on the PS5. PS5 Pro enhanced, by the way. where you're an ant colony. You're an ant colony.
Oh, that kind of ant. Oh, sorry. My bad.
Not like ants. It's not. Now, listen, Empire of the Ants, where it's just everybody's a crazy ant. Like, I would rock with that. So what's interesting is this game is actually based on a novel, which I have the novel right here, by Bernard Werber. It follows an ant colony in Eastern Europe during a troubled time where it was not a great idea to be in Eastern Europe. And what's interesting about this book is this is described as Watership Down, but with a dark twist. Now, what troubles me about that is Watership Down is a dark twist.
Watership Down is dark.
So it follows the story of an ant colony across 4 seasons. And what this is basically it's a real-time strategy game. You're building an ant colony, managing it, photorealistic backgrounds. It's really neat. And the reason honestly, I was going to ignore this. The PR guy sent me the code. I was like, all right, that's neat. I shared the trailer when it was announced. But like when I saw that they were talking about how it was based on a novel that was like Watership Down, but with a dark twist, I was like, I have to see this. I have yet to bear witness to the dark twist in the actual game itself. Now, I'm not done with it yet, but like this is one of those. Did you ever play Sim Ant back in the day?
I did not.
I played all the other Sim games, but I never played Sim Ant.
That was
okay. So like Sim Ant it's Sim City, but it's an ant colony, and it was like very simplistic. There wasn't a lot going on. This really gives me those vibes because it's an ant colony thing, but it's actually really fascinating to like look at and watch. The animations are really cool. This is one of those games that I think if you or a kid in your family are like super into ants or bugs or whatever, this is one of those like. If you find yourself like stopping on the bug channels, the bug shows on Nat Geo or whatever, or if you have your favorite bug content creator on social media and like you're that kind of fan, like this is kind of like a must play because there's nothing like it. You know what I mean?
Sure. No, I understand that part. Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, because it's good. I mean, it's not, is this going to be anybody's game of the year? No. Is it going to be on the list, for EFG in a couple of weeks when we do ours? No. But I think it's really interesting. When I haven't been playing that, it's been mostly Nintendo stuff. Super Mario Mario and Luigi Brothership is the most recent thing. Mm-hmm. And that game is just hysterical. They do say each other's name more than most brothers do. And that's like really like just odd to me. In the first like 5 minutes, Mario says Luigi like 20 something times.
That feels in keeping with how the rest of like the Mario universe has gone though. Like, especially if they're not right next to each other, it feels like they're constantly talking about / to each other. Like, Luigi over here is, XYZ.
You're right. It's just so wild. But anyway. So I cheated. I did too.
No, that's okay. I do have another question about that one. Is that game going to be on the list later?
We will talk in greater detail about Brothership later on.
All right.
That sounds like a...
Because that's gift guide stuff.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Anisha, do you want to go next?
Sure. So I've got a board game and a video game, and I'll try to minimize the video game. But, this is my chance to talk about it. So the board game is I have been learning and playing and writing a review for Boop the Halls. So this is a sequel to the 2-player game Boop, in which you are kittens and cats booping each other off a bed. Now you are kittens and cats booping each other off a Christmas tree and also trying to knock ornaments off the tree. And if you can knock enough ornaments off the tree, that's another way to win the game. So very cute. It's just a little bit harder than the original Boop and way more tactical.
Yeah, totally agree with that. It's also a little bit harder to see the angles because you have a 3-dimensional tree that you're working with. You can play without the tree. Like, it's really not necessary for the game.
Yeah, but it looks cool.
It does look cool.
That's my board game. But I do want to talk a little bit about a video game. I have been playing The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom.
Very good choice.
Always excited when I get to play the princess in a video game. Especially a princess that I've seen in lots of other video games. So played a bunch of Princess Peach Showtime back in the summer. Now we have Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which Andrew gave me for an anniversary present. And of course, our son Asher has now like played way more than I have. And he keeps being excited and trying to tell me about it. And I'm like, stop! I want to find this stuff out for myself. I don't have hours a day to play video games like you do. But it has been really, really interesting. As someone who normally plays Legend of Zelda games where, as Link, I just wade into combat and like slash at things until they are dead, I am not doing that in this game, and I'm using very different techniques. You can create these echoes of other things that you have encountered in the game, including every time you defeat an enemy, you get an opportunity to grab the prototype you need to make echoes of that enemy in the future, and then they will fight for you. So I'm definitely doing a lot of, oh, there's enemies over there. Hey, Moblin, go fight for me.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot of fun. And, you know, it's a typical Legend of Zelda kind of storyline of, oh no, the world is ending and Link has disappeared. Can you save us, Zelda? So it's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's a really good game. It's really, here's the thing I've been saying about video games, man. This is good stuff. Most video games do not have either a subscription fee or an expiration date.
Right, which is fantastic.
So you can get to it when you get to it, but I do think that you should, because Echoes of Wisdom is not a cheesy spin-off. It is a full-on Zelda game and needs to be treated with the respect that it does. So if you play every Zelda game, if that's like you're one of those people, you need to put that on your list. It's that good.
I'm not quite one of those people, but I feel like I kind of should be one of those people. Like, I don't play the portable games. I can't. I don't know why. I would love to. I just can't get into them. We have the remake of Link's Awakening, and I haven't been able to get into it.
Make yourself try it.
I don't know why. Yeah. But anyway, so I have a game which was actually recommended to me a few weeks ago by a friend of the show, Dave, who does some writing for the show. Anitra and I, to celebrate our anniversary, same anniversary for which I gave Anitra Echoes of Wisdom, went down to North Carolina and stayed at the Tabletop Inn. This is a board game themed bed and breakfast, not Airbnb, but proper bed and breakfast, where the hosts cook you breakfast every morning. If you follow the Family Gamers approved vacation plan, you don't really do anything but lay around, play some board games, and maybe go for a walk.
Yeah.
That's it.
It was great.
It was awesome. There's 400 games there, and you can wander into the game room and just play them. And one of those games is Paris City of Lights. So Paris City of Lights is a 2-player polyomino drafting / placement game. Does that work?
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Yeah.
That's a lot of words.
It's a lot of words, but it's not that much, right? So you start the game by basically drafting some polyominoes, and then there's like a second phase where you're placing those polyominoes onto the grid that kind of represents the streets of the city. So you're either red or blue, and there's these tiles that represent the streets that you have placed there that have either red, blue, or purple sections. And so the polyominoes represent buildings. So when you're in that second phase, you're placing buildings onto the city, air quote, grid. It's not really a grid. It's kind of whatever amalgamation of streets you have. But
just like the real thing.
You can only place on your color or purple. Kind of how it works. There's some other stuff with some special abilities, special like tiles you can pick up and things like that. It's a cute game. You know, my friend was a little bit more excited about it than I was. I liked it. I would play it again. I don't feel like I need to run out and buy it. But that's Paris City of Lights. So for video games, about a month ago, I rolled credits on Jedi Survivor. I rolled credits, and then I went back and I like 98%ed it, because eventually you just kind of get tired of it. Pretty fun game, but like after that, I needed some brain floss. So I went back to the archive to a game that I hadn't played. Actually, I hadn't played at all, but I had forever. And that was Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons.
Oh, wow.
I told you.
That's a deep cut. That is a deep cut. But man, but such a good game. I mean,
yeah, that game is phenomenal. So the story of the game, I will kind of ruin the opening cutscene of the game. There's an older brother and a younger brother. At the very beginning, the opening cutscene, the younger brother basically sees his mom fall out of a boat that he is in and drown. So mom is dead. Dad gets sick, and the charlatan physician, is what I'm going to call him, because why would you ever do this, tells the boys about this, I don't know, drink, miracle cure liquid that comes out of a tree that's far away. And the game is traveling to the tree to get the liquid to come home and save Dad. That's the game. So this is a isometric 3D puzzle. I wouldn't even call it a
definitely a puzzle game. It's a puzzle.
It's a puzzle game. It's the platformer part that I was kind of hedging on.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about this game is that there's only 2 buttons there's the action button for big brother and action button for little brother. And the two sticks on the control pad, one controls each brother. And so you have to do things where like one brother will go do something because he's smaller, so he can fit through small holes, and then like go grab something and push it down so the other brother can climb up it, or both brothers have to pick something up together. And so you kind of have to coordinate with both sticks, to do certain things. I mean, the whole game, I powered through this thing in like 6 hours. It's not a long game, but it's a really cool mechanic where you're trying to control these two brothers at the same time. And boy, howdy, that story.
That story hit you right in the feels.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything else, but that was that.
This is one of those games that, man, I don't think about it very often, but I actually played it during an Extra Life marathon.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I didn't really have the chance to, like, really sit with the tail end of the game until, like, and this is one of those games that if you are listening and you are on the lookout for, like, because it's on sale all the time, add this to your Steam wish list, add this to your Switch wish list. It's on everything. And, when you can grab it for, like, $3, because it happens all the time, grab it. This is an evening or like a Saturday afternoon, and it is absolutely worth it because the storytelling in this game is so good, and it's told through puzzle solving and just, oh man, I can't say enough. This game is top notch. I am so glad that you got a chance to play it.
Yeah, it's been sitting downloaded on my Xbox Series X since I got my Xbox Series X, basically. Yeah. And I just, hadn't gotten around to playing it. So that was that. I have Spider-Man 2 and God of War Ragnarok are the next ones. Which one should I play next, Steven?
God of War.
Because I asked my boys and they didn't have an opinion.
I think they would have liked to see you play either one, although they're allowed to play Spider-Man 2 and they're not allowed to play.
That is correct.
God of
Mostly
War,
because of that stupid blue guy, but whatever. Anyway, so that's my games. Yeah, that's what I've been playing.
All right.
I take it.
Okay, so I think we're going to do some back talk with some live reacts from Steven because he can't see the back talk, so sorry about that. But you can react to what people say. A couple weeks ago, we asked a question, which was, what is your favorite beverage for board game night? Is it a beer? Is it a coffee? Is it get your freaking beverages off of my board game table? What are you doing, you psycho? Another legitimate possibility.
Yes. Very,
so
very real.
We got some answers.
We did.
We did. I have 3 comments on the Facebook page. I'm going to get started there. Mark Spector, friend of the show. I love a bourbon to warm me from the insides. Because Mark Spector has no soul and will crush you at board games.
I mean, maybe a little bit of that too, yes.
No, not really. Mark's a great guy, but,
No.
I figured I'd say that. All right. What do you got from Discord, Anitra?
I've got quite a few over on the Discord. We've got Peter, who says, depends on the time of day. I love a good cold brew coffee, but if it's late at night, I have to go with something without caffeine, like Coke Zero Decaf.
Barf.
Or water.
Much more acceptable.
And then JP chimed in to say, decaf coffee is my gaming beverage of choice these days. He particularly likes it with chocolate almond milk. I guess a little homemade mocha thing going on there.
Yeah.
I could mess with that.
All right. We have Stefan, who's showing off his world travel. He says, I mostly drink water or coffee when gaming at home, but after traveling to Turkey and Azerbaijan last month, I got hooked on Turkish tea. I've actually heard of Turkish tea or Turkish coffee or Turkish drinks are like a thing. I don't know. I got to try some of those out.
Super strong.
Yeah. And even brought a set of tea glasses home with me. My current favorite is eucalyptus tea. Ooh. Drinks are always allowed around the table, even when playing out-of-print games like the original version of Robo Rally, but I ask that everyone uses a coaster.
Fair enough. If I did not already know that on the Discord that Kristen with screen name Bruins Buzz, if I did not know that she was from New England, I would know it from this comment because
Duncan's.
Morning games call for iced coffee year round. I love iced coffee. Also enjoys a glass of wine or a beer when playing games with adults.
Her board game nights are run on Duncan.
Yeah, right.
Almost certainly.
Yeah. I only one more, which is from Nick Martinelli, who says, Nick and I love Nick. Nick is a great dude. He does a lot for the show. We appreciate his writing. We'll see him in a couple of weeks at PAX Unplugged. But my taste and Nick's taste are like polar,
completely different
opposites.
Yeah.
Sour beers, sweet white wines, and flavored iced tea. No, and probably not. Sorry, man. I don't. You know what? More for you and more for me.
Yeah, everybody gets
more
what they
want.
want.
More for you, more for me.
I've just got a couple more. Who Gaming 42 says probably the favorite one I've tried is Dr. Pepper cream soda.
Okay.
Or Sprite cherry lime.
Hold up. If you haven't had Dr. Pepper cream soda, Dr. Pepper cream soda is actually like its peak.
I could totally imagine it. I mean, I drink. Hold on, look.
Okay, I mean you're a Dr. Pepper guy.
He just pulled the Dr. Pepper out from his secret stash.
Yep.
Which is not so secret.
It doesn't. It's not like you really got to hide your Dr. Pepper.
In this house, he might have to. I don't like it.
I mean, it's legal in the state of Massachusetts, to my understanding.
Okay, I don't have to hide it from them. I have to hide it from the short authorities.
Oh, I mean, that's fair. Yeah.
They steal everything. We have 2 teenagers.
The short arm of the law. Yeah, listen, so do I.
They steal
I got one in college now, though, so it's a little different.
Yeah. Let's see. I've got just 2 quick ones left. Ken says coffee, black. Good job, Ken. And Gene says, oh, hey, I heard my name on the podcast. Also, my diet is purely Mountain Dew Zero.
Another Gene says tea, Earl Grey hot. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Jean.
No, that's Jean.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
I was wondering when somebody was going to make that joke.
Come on, man. I feel like I'm obligated. Anyway, so that is our back talk. Stephen, what is your answer to this, by the way? You can answer for both video games and...
So I am on a diet recently. So I have been trying to consume more water. But if I'm going somewhere, I'll have an energy drink. So like Monster Zero or something like that. But at my own house, though.
I cannot drink any energy drinks with taurine in them. I just cannot stand them. They kill me.
They don't work well for you.
Well, remember that I don't know if you guys know, but I was born without a sense of smell.
Oh, that's interesting.
Did you guys know that? So I'm very specific that I was born without one, because if I say I don't have one, everyone thinks it's a COVID thing, but it's not. I didn't have one before that.
Wow. Do you taste food?
I mean, I do, but it's weird.
Huh.
I guess I have one, but it is so like suppressed that like I don't smell like, if you know how like when you drive by a dump in the summer, like you can tell like a mile away.
Yeah.
I cannot.
Sure.
I can't really tell until I get the pain of like the real bad stuff. Okay. You know, so it's one of those things.
Yeah. Well, does that mean that you don't smell pot when you walk by people that stink of pot? Because
no idea. I have no idea.
I have never been so jealous of you as I am right now.
It's brutal.
There's a lot, but also like I don't know what like pumpkin pie smells like. There are downsides.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But the Monster energy drink, for me, it's really just about that I can't have any of the ones that have sugar in them.
Sure.
They just taste like motor oil.
Sure.
But when I'm home, you know, recently it's been either water or, you know, some kind of diet soda. Sure. But I do drink iced coffee every time except peppermint mocha season. Because peppermint mocha needs to be warm. It just tastes weird cold.
True. Sure.
That's it.
I'm down with that.
And if I was getting anything else around the holidays, it would have to be hot, or it would have to be cold. I mean,
yeah. All right.
And you would drink that while board gaming,
well, either board gaming or video gaming.
All right.
I mean, I raid 3 nights a week, and wow, I need coffee, or I'd be falling asleep.
All right.
I am definitely a coffee if it's before about 1 p.m. and probably herbal tea anytime thereafter. I'm kind of the opposite of Kristen. Iced coffee is okay in the summer, but I pretty much drink hot coffee year round. I also drink herbal tea year round, although I drink way more of it in the winter.
I got a friend of mine that 100-degree weather will get like a hot hazelnut coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm like, Sir, I have no idea how you're doing that.
Sometimes.
I mean, but it also depends on what I'm doing with the coffee. Like later in the day, coffee is like a dessert, right? Like it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we have really
coffee,
nice, like $35 a pound coffee, which is like that's the special snack coffee.
That's different. That's different. But if I'm just messing around, you know. Anyway, I've yapped a lot. Back a few topics just to give you something. They did remaster Brother of Tales of Two Sons recently.
Did they?
They did. They didn't change much about it except make it prettier. But it, it's 4K and all that stuff. So people that are looking for it, go grab that remaster.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, we're gonna take a quick break. You're going to listen to a snap review for what, Anitra?
I have no idea.
All right, well, we'll figure it out before we publish this, at least. And when we come back, it's going to be all video games all the time. And I'm going to ask a lot of questions because this is going to influence my buying decisions in a few short weeks. Maybe next week.
It's what I do.
All right.
It's what I do.
Cool. We'll be right back.
once in a while, a game comes along that makes you stop and look at it. You're just moving along on the hamster wheel of life, and something comes out that is so clever and so simple that you just have to marvel at it. It helps when it looks great and draws a crowd, such is the case with today's game, Hamster Roll.
This is a snap review for Hamster Roll.
Hamster Roll is a dexterity game for 2 to 4 players ages 7 and up by Jacques Zimet. It was recently brought to the US by 25th Century Games.
So, Elliot, let's talk about the art in Hamster Roll.
I mean, it's a dexterity game with like a bunch of wooden pieces. Most of them are like rectangular slabs, and as you might expect, each piece that is the same size and shape is also the same color.
But that's not the impressive part. I mean, look at this wheel.
This thing is huge, and it's really impressive when you rest it on a table.
That brings us to the mechanics of this game. How do you play Hamster Roll?
Start by giving everyone the same selection of pieces, and choosing a player to go first.
Set the wheel on the table, ideally a flat level one, and put the black cone-shaped piece on the bottommost segment.
The first player chooses which direction the wheel will roll by putting one of their pieces in a compartment 2 spaces ahead of the cone.
From then on, everyone must play in that direction. When you place a piece, its edge must be the furthest along the wheel, and you can't place matching pieces in the same compartment.
You also can't race out ahead too quickly. You can only place your piece in the current compartment, the next one, or the one after that.
But from there, the sky is the limit. You can place the piece in any kind of stacking or rotational way that you choose, as long as its edge is closer to the next compartment divider than the edge of any other piece.
I'm sure you're asking by now, if the wheel keeps rolling ahead, at some point pieces are going to fall out. What then?
If any pieces actually fall out onto the table during your turn, you have to take them. But if they just shift around or fall but land back in the wheel, don't mess with them.
Okay, but what if I can't make a legal move?
Then there's another type of turn you can take. The rules call it passing constructively. Take a piece from one of the bottom 2 compartments of the wheel, then move that piece in any compartment further ahead than where it started. It does not have to be the new furthest piece along the wheel.
The game ends when someone has no pieces left. They win!
That's the main game, but the rulebook also includes a couple of interesting variants, including a team variant, and what I like to call the chaos variant. So what did we expect from this game, Andrew?
We love basic dexterity games like Drop It, and I was certain we were gonna have a blast with Hamster Roll. I expected balance was gonna come into play, but not quite the way it did here, actually.
I expected this to be a fun game. I've heard lots of people talk about it. I've seen pictures. Stacking pieces and rolling the wheel sounded like a chaotic good time.
I saw this giant wheel and the pieces. I kind of expected we'd be making it roll. It has roll in the name.
But what surprised us about Hamster Roll?
Well, I mentioned balance, and Elliot mentioned rolling. I didn't realize you'd be rolling the wheel in one direction, and I was also pleasantly surprised that despite rolling in one direction, a full game never really required a table much more than maybe 3 feet long. It's pretty short. The wheel is also super rigid, so if you're careful, you can just pick it up and move it back to the start of the table again, and it's actually fine.
For me, Hamster Roll was fun in a different way than I expected. Yes, it's a stacking game, and it obviously has crowd appeal. But you can get incredibly tactical with this game, placing pieces that force future players into increasingly difficult situations. And it's a really fun puzzle, at least for me, to see if I can get out of those difficult situations without dropping a lot of pieces. After we had some hard feelings on our first family game, it really surprised me that our kids picked this one again when I said, let's just play something for fun.
This was more fun than I thought it was going to be, even though I get upset sometimes. It's still really fun.
Games like Hamster Roll are some of the best games to bring out after a family meal when everyone is sitting around, letting their food digest, maybe not wanting to move too much. The box is probably a little bit too big to roll out at the restaurant, but this is a great game for dinner at home.
We definitely recommend Hamster Roll as an easy to play, easy to understand family game.
we're going to give Hamster Roll 5 carefully balanced pieces out of 5.
And that's Hamster Roll
In a snap.
And we're back. Okay, Stephen, it is the part of the show where it is time for you to shine and tell us all about all of the video games we should be looking into this holiday season.
I mean, first of all, I always shine, but this is where I serve my purpose. And it's more than just me and Andrew making stupid jokes.
Although that could be a show in and of
That
itself.
part's fun too.
That could be.
I mean,
we could totally do it, but I want to start with the juiciest topic, the one that I have been asked more this year than ever before. We actually have more clarity than when we made our gift guide. And that question is, should we buy a Switch this year? Because we know the Switch 2 is coming.
Sure.
I think the answer is still yes. Because if you are a late adopter, like if you don't own a Nintendo Switch yet, and you are kind of a late adopter, I think you're probably going to be fine with a Switch. They're going to be making games for the Switch for a very long time. I think back to the PlayStation 2, which is the only console that has sold more copies. There were PlayStation 2 games being published while the PlayStation 4 was in active sale.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because there were just so many of them. And I would fully expect that Nintendo will continue to make their games for the Nintendo Switch. So if you're the kind of person, and I think this is relevant for your audience, if you don't have to be at the cutting edge, I think a Switch is a perfectly valid purchase this year. Still lots of games to play and still lots of life.
So I know Nintendo did officially say, I mean, it was rumored for a while, that the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible, right? So we know that to be the case. So in this case, since that's what's going to happen, and did they say it's going to come out Q1 or they're going to announce the release date Q1?
They didn't say any of that.
I thought they said that they would announce something around
the official announcement that I read. The statement from their investors meeting, they would say something early 2025. So a lot of folks are interpreting that to be Q1. And I mean, for all we know, it could be, and it probably will be. They can't wait too long, but they can't do it now because they don't want to nuke the holidays any more than they already are. Absolutely. You know?
So with that, I mean, would you say if you are the kind of late adopter who would be considering purchasing a Switch console now, you might as well go Switch Lite? Because if you want the best thing, then you're going to wait. So,
well, that decision depends on your use case.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, if you're still buying it for family use, then a Switch Lite is not the right move.
I mean,
yeah,
the vast majority
it depends.
Of the time our kids are playing handheld.
I mean, that's your kids,
right?
Yeah,
and so for mine, the vast majority of the time that the Switch gets played, it's played on the television.
I play on the TV.
So it really depends on, that question is a tale as old as time. And as long as the Switch is a Switch, it will be a relevant decision to make, right? Because it's like, do you get a handheld only? Does the fact that it can do both matter?
Right.
Because there are plenty of people that never take their Switch out of their dock. And so, they would have happily paid less for a console that didn't switch, but can't. You know what I mean? And vice versa. The Switch Lite, I still think, is perfect for if you would have bought your kid a Game Boy. Like, if you're the kind of parent that are like, man, I want my kid to have a Game Boy, the Switch Lite is a Game Boy. It just so happens to also play big kid games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean that not in a pejorative way, but like, it plays, it shares the same games. So
we have a child who has a Game Boy. Like, I get it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You guys know. Well, listen, I'm preaching to the choir in this group. So I think the thing that really kind of pushed me over to the edge to feel very comfortable saying yes is that not only is it going to be the Switch 2 going to be backwards compatible, but they are also going to be using Nintendo Switch Online, which means that digital purchases, and other things like that are going to carry over. Which means if you set up your Nintendo account, you're going to be in good shape from now until when you do switch over to the next system. So that's the answer to that question. I've been asked a lot over the last month or so, And now that we have some clarity, I felt really comfortable giving the answer.
Okay. Follow-up question. I have a follow-up question.
Sure.
This is one that has absolutely impacted my decision on whether or not to purchase something. There are some really nice third-party controllers for Nintendo. I think I've asked you this question before. I think we've talked about this in the past. And I would like to buy one because I have man hands and the Switch.
The Joy-Cons are tiny.
The Joy-Cons are small. And if the only thing I'm playing is a Nintendo Switch, I can kind of adapt. But if I'm playing PS5 or I'm playing Xbox Series X, and then I grab a set of Joy-Cons to try to play something else, it's a disaster. So there are some aftermarket controllers that are, higher quality aftermarket controllers that work for the Switch. And I would buy one if I knew it would work on the Switch too.
They have not confirmed that yet.
Okay.
However, man, I'd be hard pressed to imagine because these other controllers work Bluetooth. I struggle to imagine a world where they allowed backwards compatibility, but didn't include Bluetooth on the next console.
Is it just straight up Bluetooth? Is that what it is? Like
that's how you're syncing controllers to it. Yeah, and same thing with headphones and stuff.
Proprietary, dumb, whatever.
I mean, Nintendo's gonna Nintendo.
Yeah, right,
I think.
Andrew, think about the fact that with the Switch, you can use a simple adapter and plug in GameCube controllers.
It doesn't matter. That's a physical connection.
I understand, but
you know what? I'm gonna put here. I'm gonna say it right now on the show. I'm gonna put the controller that I have been looking at on my Amazon wish list.
Okay.
And if somebody else desires to get over the hump for me, win for me.
Okay.
How's that?
What's the controller that you want?
I didn't remember.
You're gonna have to do the research.
I mean, is it expensive enough that this matters? Because,
sir, you have known me for a long time. I am cheap.
You're right.
I'm cheap, and also I have other games on other consoles that I could play, and then when the Switch 2 comes out, make sure I have a controller that works for it, and then get back to those games.
I get what you're saying. It's just some of these third party, controllers are, 20 something.
No, this is. I think it's like $60 or $70.
Okay, nice okay. I get it. Then yes, I can understand your concern on that. I am not worried about peripherals the same way that I was worried about backwards compatibility.
True. I mean, I agree with that entirely.
I feel safe. I think your peripherals are going to be fine, but. I could very well eat my hat.
I won't make you do that, but I appreciate the offer.
In a handful of months. So that's the big hot topic is, do I buy a Switch or not? If you want one, you go do it. The other question that I get asked a lot this year is, which one do I get? Do I get a PlayStation or do I get an Xbox? For folks that already have a Switch and they're thinking about getting like a premium console, the answer ultimately becomes, it doesn't freaking matter for 90% of people unless your kids really like Spider-Man.
Yeah, man. You know what? Spider-Man is real good, man.
Yeah. Because unless they OMG love Spider-Man, most of the games that kids, especially younger kids, will play and care about are on both consoles. Obviously, if you have teenagers, then you got to think about shooters versus God of War and stuff like that. But if you're buying for a 10-year-old, God of War is not really all that relevant,
Mm-hmm.
I would hope not.
That's the answer that I give for that one, is that unless they really like Spider-Man, it doesn't matter for the most part. Unless you have a preference as a parent. Get whatever one you can get on sale or as a deal. And especially for the young kids, they're just going to be stoked for the box. The PlayStation looks like an alien spaceship, so that's neat. Speaking of PlayStation, just to give you some, the hits from our game list, the number one game for families on PlayStation right now, far and away, is Astro Bot. It is must play material for just about everybody. This is Mario Odyssey good.
Really?
It is absolutely astonishing. The music is good. The level design is good. The puzzles and challenges are amazing. The secrets are really cool. I had a problem where I booted up the game and my controller died because I have a problem with kids on in my house using my games and not plugging the controller in. And because I was stuck with all my controllers dead. I had to sit on the main theme, the title theme for that game for like 15 minutes before it charged. Even the theme song is just a slamming song. Like it is just, there's just so good, so much fun stuff happening at all times. And it's also adorable. So Astrobot is fantastic. And if you own a PlayStation and you don't buy it, it's because you don't like fun.
It is already on my Amazon wish list and has been for weeks.
Okay.
So
it's fantastic.
Noted.
Fantastic. Great for all ages. I think it's very accessible, even though there are some very challenging segments in it. Towards the end of the game, it gets wild. But, we love that. Other games on the list for the PlayStation. This one's multi-platform, but we put it on PlayStation because that's where our people played it. Man, if you got sports fans in your gift guide periphery, college football came back to the video game space for the first time in a very long time with EA Sports College Football 25. And guys, this is straight up a role-playing game. Like, no joke. It is a RPG. You build your coach. You stat your coach. It's a role-playing game. Yeah, there's talent trees. It's amazing. So this is one of those, a lot of dudes have nostalgia for playing college football on their PlayStations and Xboxes back in the day. This will kind of bring them back. Also, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy is continuing strong. Rebirth is amazing. It's probably one of the best looking video games ever made. It's fantastic to watch. We put Spider-Man 2 back on our list for the second year because
it's just that good.
Because it's amazing. And, there aren't any other real genuine superhero experiences on video game consoles right now. And we didn't get a Spider-Man movie this year, so maybe we can get a little Spider-Man 2. And then lastly, we put Cat's Quest 3 out there on the PlayStation side, although this is everywhere. Cat's Quest 3 is just a super cute action role-playing game.
This is Anitra's language right here.
Yep, super cute cat-themed action role-playing game. You're a pirate.
Pirate cat. Excellent.
You're a pirate cat. It is freaking adorable. All the other Cat's Quest games are great. And that's the other thing. The other ones you can get for a song. So if Cat's Quest 3 looks great, you can get Cat's Quest 1, which is fantastic. It's kind of a fantasy-themed one, though. But you could probably get it for like $1 at certain points if you throw it on your Steam wish list. Next so that's our PlayStation list. Any questions, Andrew?
I don't think so. All right. Astrobot, I'm there for because I think literally every single one of us in the family. I'm very, very blessed to have a family where I can suck 5 games worth of content out of one game if it's the right game, and I think Astrobot is the right game.
And listen, you're considering the diversity of interests amongst my children, that is a blessing. Because, if I buy a game for a person in this house, I am buying exactly one game for exactly one person. So, yeah, oof. But anyway, so that's the PlayStation list. Moving on to the Xbox one, we had some trouble. We always have trouble with Xbox, and that's because so far Microsoft just does not be making family-friendly games.
No.
Also, there are exclusives this year.
Well, there is that problem too. But they just don't be making games for families. I think that's probably going to be a little bit easier for them moving forward. Our gift guide is probably going to have to change in the next couple of years because a lot of companies just aren't making exclusives anymore, except for Nintendo. So we may just combine the PlayStation and Xbox lists to make our lives easier and then just make note of the few exclusives. But just to say, we put them in the Xbox section just to say we did. One of our interesting discoveries while making our gift guide is that Metaphor ReFantazio, which is a Persona game, is actually rated T for teen. Which means if you are someone who has been interested in the Persona style game, but not interested in fighting monsters that are, how should we say, not appropriate for children. I was about to say what one of the monsters was, and I realized that I can't on your show. This game is, not only is it not modern, so you don't have to deal with modern tropes and, modern relationships and that stuff, because it's set in a fantasy world, but it's actually rated T for teen. There's not a lot of blood. There's not a lot of violence. There's not a lot of language. It's just a fantasy game about and it's really, the whole story is about, is it your responsibility to make the world a better place? and how that matters in a fantasy world. And I think that's actually a really cool thing to explore philosophically in a video game where you're stabbing monsters. And it's also fantastic. Some other highlights that we happened to put in the Xbox category are Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which is a fantastic 2D side-scrolling action game.
So good. We have it on.
Unfortunately, it did not sell enough. So do I. And I love it. It did not sell enough. Unfortunately, the team that made it has been disbanded. So I'm recommending to everybody, let's honor that team's memory and play this game. It is absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. Balatro, which, let me tell y'all, Balatro, which is a card game poker-themed roguelike.
On an acid.
It's on everything now. But most recently, it was added to Apple Arcade. And that's busted. Because, it's easily one of the best games on Apple Arcade, bar none. We've been trying to get my mother's laptop fixed so she could put down, I had my mother download Steam so she could play Balatro.
Fantastic.
If you know somebody that, their whole way of chilling out is, playing solitaire because they just want, a solo card game to, just kind of, fart around with, you gotta get them into Balatro because it is a similar vibe. It's relaxing. There's some strategic decisions to make. You can do it while you're having a conversation, and it's amazing. And then lastly, Star Wars Outlaws, which does not get the love that it deserves. This is kind of a T-rated Assassin's Creed style Far Cry. It's really more Far Cry than Assassin's Creed, just because it's really more about it's less stealth oriented and more shooty. But did you ever want to play as Han Solo in a video game? If the answer to that is yes, then congratulations, they made your game for you this year. And it's been getting pretty regular updates since it came out, including very recently, they made a change to actually remove stealth from some of the missions. Because there were some missions that required stealth, meaning being discovered was like a fail state, and they actually removed that. In a bunch of those missions, which I think was actually very cool. They did that for accessibility purposes. There were just some people that were really struggling. And so they just said, fine, whatever. You want to be the person that gets discovered and just goes nuts? We'll do it for these missions too. And I thought that was really neat. That's the Xbox stuff. On to the Switch. I think this is where the bulk of our energy is going to be coming to.
Probably. I want to make a quick comment about Prince of Persia, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Stop. At any time.
As someone who played, the old Apple II / early Mac version.
Back in the
day. I always liked the idea behind the new Prince of Persia games, but I couldn't handle the 3D-ness of, the puzzles. And so I just all right, well, that's a cool game that I'm not going to play. I have not played this yet, but I've seen Andrew playing it. And if you are like me in that, you're an elder millennial, you played original Prince of Persia, this combines the gameplay style of that game with the look and feel of the 3D series from the early aughts. And it's really amazingly beautiful while being almost completely 2D. And I am super looking forward to trying it.
Oh, man. I can't wait for you to play it if you really like the original. I think it's 2D enough.
Clear. But I really liked it.
I am living proof. You don't have to be good at video games to enjoy them. So, you can rock with that.
It's definitely faster than the OG.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
It is. Because, I mean, that back in the 90s, games were kind of stiff, right? And that's okay. It's just what they were at the time. I think Tomb Raider was kind of one of the first 2D, 2.5D games that kind of broke out of that a little bit. And then it has gotten progressively faster over time. So The Lost Crown is a faster game, but it is absolutely a pinned 2D, 2.5D game.
Yeah, absolutely. It is what I would describe it as is the previous games were platformers. This is an action game.
Yeah.
But while still maintaining some of its platformer roots.
It's also a Metroidvania style game. So like Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, those kinds of games where you get abilities that then allow you to go back to do other things. It's got all that stuff in it. So if you like those games, I know, Anitra, you didn't play Metroid Dread, but if somebody out there, as we're getting into Switch, played Metroid Dread. That's a Metroid game. Same kind of idea with just the gameplay loop.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also on Switch and plays very well on Switch. In fact, if you're one of those folks that owns a Switch but is worried about performance and things like that, it was designed for the Switch and then kind of up-res on the other platforms. So, like, you're playing a natively built Switch game, and it is smooth like butter. So you will love it. So speaking of the Switch, I think the best game on the Switch this year is Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and it's not close.
It's real good. It's short for a Legend of Zelda game. Like, I can say that even though I have not finished it, but I'm watching my son who is almost done with it. So it's on the shorter end, but I don't think that's a bad thing. It means that I have a chance of actually finishing it.
It is, yeah. I mean, that is true. It is shorter than some of the other stuff. It is fantastic. It's gorgeous. It's creative. It's the best Nintendo game of the year. And I think the comment that I made in the beginning about how, like, this is a legit Zelda game, there's a lot of folks that treated this, or while they were leading up to, after it was announced, and leading up to it, were treating it kind of like a spin-off, like Link's Awakening or things like that. I just cannot repeat enough. This is not a spin-off. Yeah. This is a straight-up Zelda game.
It feels like a Zelda game. It's different, but it still feels like everything.
Exactly.
else.
And I think that they definitely learned from Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. You can see some of the lessons that they learned, to the point where now I'm kind of interested to see how Echoes of Wisdom is reflected in the next 3D Zelda. That's how good I think this is. That this is kind of in that tier. And you guys know how much I love Breath of the Wild. So the next games to talk about, and Nintendo put out some bangers this year. The next one to talk about is Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Yeah, so tell us about that.
Game is freaking hilarious. Listen, it's another Mario and Luigi RPG. Who doesn't love those? It is, you're controlling Mario with one button, you're controlling Luigi with another button, but it is not A Tale of Two Sons. It's very different. The idea is you're just kind of, the story is very light. You're helping connect some islands. All the people look like plugs. You're like plugging lands into each other. It's silly. Lots of puns, lots of dumb stuff. If you have played a Mario and Luigi role-playing game before, then you know what you're into, and it's worth grabbing. If your kids really like Mario and Luigi, and you think they have the patience for a turn-based role-playing game, which this has, then this is absolutely something to keep an eye on. I think that it's worth watching a YouTube video or two. There's plenty out there just to kind of get a handle on what it looks like and see what they say. But I think it's great. When we put it on the list, we had not played it because Nintendo was still sending me the code. I have since received the code. In fact, I got it a few days after our gift guide went live. I should probably update our gift guide. Yeah, it's really good.
By the time this episode goes live, that will,
Oh, yeah. It'll be our little thing in there. Right now it says, it's coming soon to retail. Stay tuned for updates. The update is, it's real good.
There you go. You heard it here.
Next, Super Mario Party Jamboree. Listen, I would be remiss if I did not mention a Mario Party game. And here's the big deal. Mario Party Jamboree is the GOAT as far as modern Super Mario Party games go. It added a lot of stuff. The big one here is it added a mode that eliminates some of the random.
Oh, good.
And kind of made it more of a strategic board game. Which, for y'all, I think that would matter. They call it like a pro mode, and it's pretty cool. Removing some of the obnoxious luck and making it more, kind of skill-based, I think is pretty fun. And like I said, when I say it's goated, I'm not kidding. I think it's absolutely something to keep an eye on. If you've played Mario Party games in the past and maybe you've only played it a little, and maybe it just wasn't the right experience, I think you should give this one a shot. If the other ones just kind of missed the mark or didn't have staying power because they were a fun little diversion, but the randomness bothered you, this fixes a lot of that. So I mean, absolutely enjoyed this game. We don't play a lot of party games in our house just because, it's hard to get all of my family to play one game.
Yeah.
Because, there's too many Fortnites and Valorants and Hatsune Miku games and all that to play. But when we did get everybody together, Jamboree is absolutely amazing. Next, Anitra, you talked about it. Princess Peach Showtime came this year. I mean, listen, Princess Peach Showtime, is it the best game ever made? No.
But it was lovely.
Yeah.
It's not a Mario game. It's very definitively not a Mario game.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Listen, the advantage to Princess Peach is that sometimes people just want to play as Peach and don't want to play as a second-rate character. She's not in this game. She's the main character, and there's a bunch of games kind of stuck together in here. Lots of little mini kind of adventures. I think this is one of those, if you have somebody in your house that's like, that really liked the Mario movie and really liked Peach because, Anna Taylor-Joy and like she was kind of a rock star and wants in. Like, this is a great little game to throw out there. I think that this is, especially if you're buying for a younger girl who maybe just doesn't really see herself in the Mario Brothers, or doesn't really want to play Zelda. Maybe she's a little younger for that. This is especially great for a younger kid that maybe isn't ready for a full-on puzzle adventure game. And it's going to remain that. This is going to be one of those things. Is it going to be on the top 25 list for the Switch when it's all said and done? No. But I think it's always going to find itself being recommended because it fills a very specific niche very, very well. This is like the sixth man of the year coming off the bench because specifically you shoot three-pointers. That's what it is.
Or since we are in central Massachusetts, this is the Steven Nedorozic of video games.
I don't know. Is that a hockey?
No,
thing?
that's the pommel horse guy.
Oh, yep. Okay. Yeah, that actually, honestly, probably a better analogy, right? Because sometimes you need specialists. This game is 100% serving a very specific purpose. Let's get these games for young girls that aren't ready to play as Zelda. I was so excited when I saw this announced and, enjoyed my time with it. Next is Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, which is an HD remake of a GameCube game that is probably the funniest game I have ever played.
Did I buy you this one, Anisha, or did I buy you the other one?
I played the Origami King. I don't think I played the Thousand Year Door.
I'm going to tell you what. If you like Paper Mario and have not played Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, you are missing out.
For long.
Because this is...
The Paper Mario games definitely tend to be the funniest.
They are
games.
Hilarious.
Yes.
They are hilarious.
There's a whole segment in Thousand Year Door that's like based on like pro wrestling. And it's just so good. Some of the jokes are so hilarious. And like, admittedly, we know I am a wrestling fan. So like, obviously it was written for me. But like, you can get it even if you aren't like... It's kind of like the Avatar The Last Airbender pro wrestling jokes. Like, okay, even if you don't know who's voicing those characters, it's still very funny. Mm-hmm. So I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite games of the year just because of nostalgia purposes. Did I finish it this time? No, because I finished it multiple times back in the day. It is the same game.
Sure.
With some quality of life improvements and better graphics. And lastly, this is the last game on our gift guide list, is the Nintendo World Championships NES edition. Are you guys familiar with this one?
I'm not. I just love the idea of like World Championship. You're going to play NES.
This is back when Nintendo had Nintendo World Championship.
You know what? I mean, you say that, but like they had a Nintendo World Championships a couple years ago. Andrea Renee hosted them. But so here's what it is. You remember NES Remix? I guess not. No. Okay, so what this is it is a collection of micro challenges. I'm saying kind of WarioWare-like.
Okay.
Based on classic Nintendo franchises. And they're all set to timers. So it's like, how fast can you get the first mushroom in Super Mario Brothers 1?
Sure.
Now, you could do that real fast, but like, man, it's a very different ball game when you're trying to do it in under 2 seconds. You know what I mean? And what it does is you get gold, platinum, you get trophies basically based on how fast you do it. They have a bunch of different games, a bunch of different challenges. This is really, and you can have up to 4 players at the same time kind of racing through these challenges. This is a game that I recommend to the parents who are OGs and their kids are like, yeah, you don't know how to play these games. And you want to show them. Like, if you need to teach a child that you need to be respected, this is the game for that purpose.
Yeah, because I can't beat my daughter at Mario Kart anymore. Because she actually plays.
I mean, that sounds like a skill issue.
No, that is a she plays the game every day
practice issue,
and I haven't played the game in 2 years issue.
I mean, you say that, I say skill issue. I'm just being sassy. We can
still throw down in Smash Brothers, though. That's all right.
That's what we want to see, right? So this is, bringing the OG stuff. This is one of the challenges. How fast can you get the sword in The Legend of Zelda? Like, it's that kind of thing. And I think it's fascinating. I think it's really cool. Is it the best game of all time? No. Is it going to have a lot of longevity in your game catalog? Probably not. This is like a couple of weekends. The good news is it's like $30. It's digital only. This is like, one of those games that you can get. This is a great like New Year's game if you're going to have a bunch of people farting around. And you're going to have multi-generations playing together, that kind of thing. Like I said, it's $30. I think there are some physical copies that you can get at like Target, but like for $30, this is a great buy it, play it for a couple of weekends and not think about it, until a couple of years later. I mean, this game has more value now that we know that it's backwards compatible. Because it's like, yeah, you know what? If you only play it once a year, because that's when the cousins come over or whatever, it has more value over time because you can bust it out. It's one of those. That's our gift guide. This year has been really interesting. Normally, I blame it on the grown-up games. All the good games that came out were grown-up games. I'll be honest with you. This year was not a great year for games at the top end. I mean, there were some bangers and some good things, but like, it just wasn't. And part of that is because a lot came out last year, and also a lot of stuff got delayed to the next year.
For one, I'm very
2025 is going to be nuts.
That we haven't received any kind of like Legend of Spyro Game Pass collection. Like, I want to know what Microsoft is doing, because they have a huge catalog of very good games that they can throw on that service. They're not doing it. And that makes me mad.
I mean, if I may, good sir. The Spyro Reignited trilogy is on Game Pass right now. It went on like a week and a half ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Spyro Reignited trilogy.
Great. I'm going to go download that probably in 5 minutes when we're done.
Yeah, that is, I understand exactly what you are saying, though. The fact that Game Pass isn't taking advantage of like Activision's games is dumb. Why aren't all the Crash games on there? Thankfully, Spyro's there. I don't know why, but here we are. I feel like that will change over time.
Hopefully.
Let's hope.
I know they bought a lot of these franchises. They bought a lot of these companies with the purpose of making games. And we know they aren't all going to be M-rated nightmare machines. So we'll have to see what we're going to get. But I feel like they know what they need. I feel like the future is bright. We know Toys for Bob, that studio, has kind of reformed and is making a new game. And they're being funded partially by Microsoft. So wouldn't it be cool if they put some stuff together? I know, because I still get traffic on it, Skylanders is still a property that people care about. They just don't want to buy the toys. I think if they made a new Skylanders game, it would sell, because the kids that grew up on Skylanders,
they're adults,
they have nostalgia now. Like, they're old enough to be nostalgic. My oldest talks about it a lot. And the traffic on EngageFamilyGaming.com supports it. We still get hits on some of our older Skylanders content every month. To the point where I'm actually going to revamp it in 2025. So, yeah, that's our list.
So, of course, we have to talk about, Xbox Game Pass remaining an excellent value in the space. And then on the Sony side, there's now the different tiers of PlayStation Plus, which offer games in the same way that Game Pass does. Personally, I don't see the value in the PlayStation side the way I see it on the Game Pass side, but that might just be a title selection thing for me. I don't know. But if you're buying a PlayStation 5 or you've got a kid with PlayStation 5, certainly getting them some PS Plus of the appropriate tease.
Yeah.
Would be helpful.
Absolutely. You know what? And you're right. That is kind of something that I always am reliable for talking about. And I probably should have talked about that at the beginning, but I was too busy talking about the Switch. But you're 100% right. You need the online subscription service for a lot of these consoles in order to play online. And also there are benefits to them. So if you are buying, especially if you're buying for somebody with an Xbox, just get them you can get a couple of months of Xbox Game Pass for, relatively inexpensive. I know they have those cards at Target. Those are always valuable because they can just put them at the end of their subscription. PlayStation Plus is a little bit more complicated, because it's expensive. So not everybody needs the top tier version of it, but if they play online games that are not called Fortnite, they need it.
Yep.
So 100%.
And then there's Anitra's favorite holiday video game console reminder.
Yes, my favorite thing to remind people, if you haven't sat through enough of these podcasts already, if you are buying your children a new video game console for the holiday, do not leave it in the box. Do not. You want to set it up before Christmas Day. That means probably wait for some time that they are out of the house, take it out of the box, plug it into power, connect it to the internet, connect it to your TV, download and install all of the updates that it needs. Probably also install a game or two. Even if you bought a physical disc for a game, it will still need to be installed. So go ahead and do all of that and then box it all back up so they have something to open up on Christmas morning. But everyone's life will be happier if when they get it out of the box, all you have to do is hook up some cords and they can start playing.
There's an extra thing I'll throw on this, which is a problem now, or not a problem, but something you'll have to do, which is updating the firmware on your controller.
Yeah, that might be an issue too. All the things.
That's
a thing, but it's a thing.
Yeah, just plugging everything in is a huge advantage. Makes everything faster, on Christmas morning. And yeah, Anitra is 100% right. I am so glad that you remembered this one. I get pushback, when I talk about it in bigger groups and things like that. There's always parents who are like, oh, kids are spoiled these days. Whatever. My counterpoint to that, if you heard Anitra's response, if you're a new person who hasn't been around for the last, 3 years that we've done this?
I think it's 6.
If you are one of those, here's my response. Sure, you can think that all you want. I'm fine. Whatever. We bought these games for our kids so they could use them and so they could have fun Christmas morning memories, not so they could have impatient waiting for things and then Christmas afternoon memories. The things we remember are playing with all our cool toys on Christmas morning. And by doing this stuff correctly, they can have the same memories that we did. And I think that that's super important. My kids have always been very happy to have it. I've been very thrilled to not have to deal with the stress. It's just very nice. It's very nice. Trust us on this one. Anitra is correct. Just do it. It also means that you avoid all the, someone bought a console and returned it with a block of wood.
Oh, that was the worst thing.
We see those stories, right? We see plenty of those stories. Stuff's missing, stuff's broken. This means that you get to avoid all of that and eliminate any of the disappointment.
Yeah.
And I think that is huge. Good call remembering that one, Anitra.
Oh, we've only been doing this for however many years. It finally stuck.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap up the video game gift guide for the holidays. Special thanks to Stephen Duetzmann for once again lending his expertise. Bunch of things that we would like to remind you about. We're still giving away some board games.
This is the last podcast we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So you've got a couple of days left to go enter the giveaways for board games.
So
and if you're in the US, you'll probably still get them in time for Christmas if you win.
Yeah. We're going to make sure that these things go out ASAP because just in case you want them to be Christmas gifts. I'm going to be, in fact, so bold as to say that Stephen can even enter these contests if he would like, if you want some more board games in your house.
Because I get a lot of board games myself, I deliberately do not sign up for giveaways.
But
mainly because I want to share the wealth. Of course I could. And trust me, I saw the announcement. I looked at the games and I thought about it. But in general, I do not sign up for giveaways If it was from a publisher or something, I would do that. But if they're from other content creators, I don't sign up just because I want to share the love with your audience. I already get enough stuff from publishers and stuff like that. I want somebody else to get the joy of having their shipment show up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
All right. That's all good. It's all good. But
thank you, though.
I don't want to be the gatekeeper. You could be your own gatekeeper. That's totally fine.
Oh, trust me. Listen, you didn't have to give me permission. If I wanted to, I would have. It's easier to get the dude. Seriously, you joined our giveaway after you find out that I'm the winner. Like getting that Facebook message way easier than anything else.
All right.
But no, I'm gatekeeping myself because I want your audience to get some stuff. You know what I mean?
All right. So what is that stuff? We have brand new. These are all brand new in the shrink. We have a copy of Archaeologic from Ludonaught. This is the Turing machine style deduction game with polyominoes. We have a copy of Patrician Tower of Influence from Calliope Games. We have a copy of Mutton Bustin' from 25th Century, and a copy of Avant Card from Resonim. There's also the Holiday Hijinks Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is over, so if you didn't pledge in the Kickstarter, winning the giveaway wouldn't make any sense. So there is that one. If you did pledge for the Holiday Hijinks Detective Chest or whatever it's called, you're definitely going to want to join that one as well.
All right. And before we head out and give all our contact information, we do have a new backtalk question for our listeners for the next couple of weeks.
As appropriate.
Yeah. And since this week was all about video games, our question is, what's your favorite video game?
Could be a series, could be an individual title, could be whatever. What's
could be of this year, could be of all time. It's up to you.
Could be both. It's kind of like how we do our H-index of the month and then of the year.
Yeah,
same idea.
I think people should say both. I'm gonna amend the question because I think it'll be more interesting for you guys to hear.
So, Stephen, what's your favorite game of the year and of all time?
Favorite game of the year right now, Astrobot.
Astrobot and
right now it's Astrobot. Of all time, you know what? My favorite game of all time has to be. I'm going to say World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy X. World of Warcraft is my forever game, but Final Fantasy X is the game that if I could play it over again, like if you could forget it and play it again, I would do that.
Sure.
I would concuss myself repeatedly so that I could play that game.
That's terrible.
Listen, if there was one benefit to CTE, it would be me being able to play Final Fantasy X over and over again.
Wow. So my favorite game of the year is hard. I have not played Astrobot. I don't play a lot of video games anymore.
Well, it's because you're an adult.
Well, you also have 2 weeks to think about this if you'd like.
I'll do it. It's not that I don't like playing video games. I just don't have the time to like really dig in. Oh, did I play Forbidden West this year? Did I play Horizon Forbidden West, or was that last year?
Oh, I think some portion of it
came out.
Year. Yeah,
it came out last year.
Yeah, I think you were still playing that in January, February. So
it feels like cheating. I'll just go with Survivor. It's a good game. It's a good game for the year. My all-time. I know that if I played it now, I would really groan a lot. But I think in the moment, I have to say Ocarina of Time.
Okay. I respect that.
You know what? No, I'm gonna. No, I'm not. No, it's A Link to the Past.
I can respect that too.
A Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda game, so therefore it has to be a more favorite game than Ocarina of Time. I think that those first N64 games, like the Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, that was just a mind blowing time to be a video gamer. But my go-to is A Link to the Past.
All right. I mean, I think my favorite game of the year has got to be Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. It really is. It's very good. And when I think about my favorite game of all time, I think of one where I would happily keep coming back to it in many different seasons of life and just play it again.
Well, that's what shifted me over to Link to the Past.
And so for that, I have to say Katamari Damacy. That is my favorite game of all time.
That's a good poll.
Even now, I will be like, I'll just install it and play it again. I think the one we have now is We Love Katamari, maybe? I don't know. Whatever. Any variation of that game. They're all good.
All right. Well, there you go. So those are some games. They're all different. I like that. I like that we didn't all have the same pick for that.
Variety is the spice of life.
All right. There's lots of places you can find us online and find that question so you can answer it. But before we talk about that, Stephen, where can people find your stuff on the internet?
Best place to find us, it's engagefamilygaming.com. So there's going to be a link in the show notes, as there always is. And we also have a Facebook page. And if you go to engagefamilygaming.com/community, you will find our group that is like yours, only we talk about video games. And you get a lot of great discussion about some, like LARPing and board games too. But yeah, go to engagefamilygaming.com/community. You'll find our Facebook group. It is a similar one to this one, only we talk about some different stuff.
And we're all in it. I mean, we're all in each other's groups,
there.
right? So,
yeah.
I mean, much like us, you can find us at Family Gamers AA on all of the things. You can find Engage Family Gaming at Engage Family Gaming on all of the things.
Yep.
Pretty much.
But the two places where you're going to find the back talk question are going to be in our Family Gamers community, the familygamers.com/community, or searching for the Family Gamers community on Facebook, or by going to the Family Tabletop community on Discord. Or you can go to thefamilygamers.com/Discord to get an invite to get right in there.
There are lots of other ways to get in touch with us too. Email is a good one. Anitra at thefamilygamers.com.
Andrew at thefamilygamers.com.
And we are almost on holiday season. We are almost on PAX Unplugged. We ordered our updated Family Gamers merch so that everyone representing the Family Gamers will have shirts and things to wear.
Based on the turnaround time, I think if you ordered Family Gamers merch the day you heard this podcast, you might still be able to get it before PAX Unplugged.
Ooh, crazy.
We would love to see. When I see Family Gamers merch in the wild, and it has happened, I completely lose my mind.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. You want free stuff from me? Wear Family Gamers merch. It's very simple.
I'm not going to do it. I'm just kidding.
Well,
That's okay. You don't need the free stuff from us anyway.
Right. We already covered that one. So, anyway.
I just wanted to be a contrarian, but
it's on brand.
I can't wait to see your whole army in merch. I think that's going to be a lot of fun because I'll be at PAX Unplugged too.
Yeah. You can see Stephen there. You can see Linda, the board games.
Our executive editor of board games.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a good
And Marie, our executive editor of crafts.
Ooh.
And crafting activities.
Ooh.
Our new because we can give each other promotions and do whatever we want.
Right.
So that's why we have executive editors, because I make up the rules.
That's fine. Well, if you want some of that merch, you can go to thefamilygamers.com/merch and check out the selections there. Please do not forget to subscribe to this show. Odds are pretty good that if you're listening, you probably already are. But you should just, make sure. Maybe subscribe on multiple services just to make sure you've got it every week.
Or maybe tell your friends about this podcast.
On multiple services.
Yes,
yeah.
That too.
Absolutely. or just leave us a review. You can do that at Apple Podcast or whatever your podcast subscription source is. You can find us on Amazon Music, TuneIn, on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube Music also. So it's really easy on your work computer to just kind of like pull up a little browser situation and put in the Family Gamers podcast and listen to it on there. We really appreciate that as well.
The Family Gamers is sponsored by First Move Financial. You should go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers, and you can learn how the team at First Move Financial can help you pile up the victory points.
We really do appreciate everything that First Move does for us. They're the ones who make it possible for us to do things like bring the entire staff PAX Unplugged.
Yeah.
Stephen, thanks again for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it. I love that you are willing to do this every year. You're a very wonderful, long-suffering friend. So
no problem. This is one of it's a long-standing appointment that I will never miss.
That's very kind.
Thanks.
That's very kind. I mean, we also move it around to make sure it fits your schedule, which makes it a little easier for you, but still
yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to, it'd be a jerk move for me to say no at this point, but no, it's always fun to chat with you guys, and it's, considering I've guessed at other places with folks that have no idea what I'm talking about, it's great to be able to chat with family-focused stuff with people who kind of understand the, you sprechen, you know what I mean? So this is always a good time. And hopefully your audience hopefully it's not just self-indulgent and your audience actually likes it.
We hope so too.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to be it for us this week. It's Thanksgiving week, everybody. So go out and buy some really good board games on some really great deals and eat way too much turkey or, whatever. Don't eat tofurkey. That stuff's gross.
For our Canadian listeners, enjoy your regular work week capped off with Christmas sales.
Yeah. I mean, whatever, I mean, whatever you want to do. Whatever, we're going to have a good time and, reach out to us and we'll talk about stuff. It'll be fun. So until next time, everybody, hopefully we'll see you in person. But till then,
play games with your kids.
Bye.